Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and all of my baggage droppers around the world, welcome to another episode of the Drop Your Baggage Podcast update right here with the goddess, the queen right here, Marisa Magallanes. Her episode was phenomenal. She ended up releasing anger on the episode, and wow, if you haven't seen it, go back and see it because her reaction was amazing. So, Marisa, how the hell have you been?
I've been good. I've been so good. A lot of things have happened since then, but just been doing really well.
So, what's happened since then? What's been up with you?
Just making a lot of life changes. Been able to, since that podcast, I was able to have conversations with my family about those things, and they're just like didn't even know, or just had extended family reach out to me in regards to that. Just like, wow, it resonates with me. And so it's kind of led me to be more intentional with the things that I do, and just have a different approach to life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course that makes sense. Like, what type of approach do you have now that's different than what it was?
Like I mentioned before, just be more intentional about things. So just be more mindful, and that just really understanding the power of our own energy. So just been just having that anger that I had and releasing that, and how much of a difference is made in my life. I was like, wow. It was just really mind blowing. I was like, oh my gosh, I was carrying that. Even though the reaction, I was like, it literally was gone like that after carrying it for so long. And I was like, just mind blown. So it just made me realize, okay, I really need to be putting out more positive energy, and just more intentional, spending time with my kids, conversations I have with people. And, when I do say my story, it's from a place of healing, and to recognize that I'm able to speak my truth and not be ashamed of it, I guess. Yeah. So just having more intention with things, if that makes sense.
Yeah, hell yeah. So was the podcast one of the times where you truly showed up like that and told your story like that, or have you done it on other occasions as well?
No, I have done one before, but being as vulnerable as I did in the one we did was a first, and it was a little uncomfortable. But now, just looking back, so I did watch it again, because at first I was just like, oh God, I don't want to hear it, and then able to once get past that, and being able to listen to it, just wow, I was just so proud of myself for being able to speak about things that a lot of people don't want to talk about, and just for showing up for myself so I can heal for myself with all the great things that it's gonna become.
It was so beautiful. Oh my gosh. Like you said, the way that you showed up was so brave and so courageous to be able to truly express your emotions and your feelings, and to tell about the anger, to talk about the limiting beliefs and the emotions that came up when people would try to help you, or with you and your children. You really showed up super authentically. Thank you. And man, I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy that you're proud of yourself. And how's it been? A lot of people came out to watch, or to even tune in to the podcast for that.
Yeah, so I was like,
how was that?
I was like, oh my gosh. So at first it was really kind of nerve-wracking, but I had to get past the point. It's like, okay, remember that this is your story, and this is part of your healing, and it doesn't matter what people say, but that's just me thinking that. But I also just wanted to change my mind and think of it positively. Look at your story, you're saying it, and you're giving other people the ability, and kind of like a segue to be able to reach out and talk about those things that maybe they've never been able to talk about. So it's just led to really crazy, amazing connections, conversations, and just looking deeper into myself, and wow, that was just because of me sharing my story, and because you gave me the opportunity to. So I thank you, and I really love this podcast and what it can do for people. So.
Oh my gosh! Shout out to Brandy. She's the one that.
Brandy. She's the real one.
She's so amazing.
She is.
I love her so much.
Yes.
So what do these conversations look like that you're having with folks now?
So a lot of them are just kind of like that they've gone through kind of similar things, or, they have anger and they're trying to change things that they do in themselves because they have kids, or just, kind of rekindle relationships with people that have hurt them. So, people ask, how did you get to this point? And, that was kind of a hard question to answer because it's not just one single answer, but it's just talking about being able to be someone that can listen to somebody talk about something so deep and traumatizing for them, I should say. So it was just a lot of those kind of conversations and how to like release it, basically like I did. So obviously I referred them to you. I'm not sure if they reached out, but I think it takes, some courage to be able to do that and get to that point in our lives. So it's definitely a lot of conversations about people's traumas and how it's affected them and how they want to change. So, which is really cool because they're aware of it. If you're aware of it, that means like, you can change, because if you don't know what you don't know. So
100%. Like, so let's talk about the mindset now, because that's one of the things that really interests and baffles me is the complete shift in your perspective, the complete shift when it comes to how you control your emotions, or the lack of emotions that even show up now. Like, how has that anger been, or lack thereof, for you?
So for me, I'm before. So I still kind of am, just not at that super level. Like, well, it's like I was just like kind of like a match. You just strike it, bam, it's on fire, and you're just pissed off or whatever. Just anything can set you off, and it's because of a lot of unhealed traumas and things that I've been through. So continuing to work on that has allowed me to just kind of sit back and reevaluate and just, control, be more emotionally intelligent, I guess. Like, I'm not going to react to this. It's not that big of a deal. Like, chill out, So I do catch myself sometimes, but I think being able to release that anger has allowed me to sit back and like, okay, I don't need to react like that. Okay, it's going to be all right. So I think it's really helped me in that way. Just because things would just set me off like crazy, which, of course we're not perfect. Sometimes it does happen, but it doesn't happen to the extent that it used to all the time, like for minor things, or just being able to also just have conversations with people that have, whatever that they did, and be able to talk about that. So just being able to not only the anger, but kind of put my own healing forward and have these conversations, because I would always I would always put my own emotions on the back burner because I didn't want to make somebody else feel uncomfortable about what I did. So it's kind of helped me move that anger and get to the source of it and talk about these things, which was really uncomfortable, but I'm glad it happened because I was able to hear, but just we were able to hear each other out, if that makes sense. So, and just also just listen to their own story. So
with the two parts of what you just said, number one, the controlling of your feelings, or being able to take like kind of a introspective look at what you're going through with your emotions is so interesting, because you've released this emotion, and now you're on the other side. And when before you would just snap, like like before, I'd be so quick to call somebody an MFer, especially in my mind. And then, after a while, it just blows up. But, there's the different mantras that I would say, hurt people. We're all doing the best that we can with the resources and consciousness that we have. Or just standing back and saying, I really don't have to react to this. Or it's like, it's not about me. Whatever they're doing right now, it's not about me. You know what I mean? It's about whatever they're going through. That's the
biggest thing. That is the biggest thing. Just not taking other people's reactions so personally. So that was a big one for me. Like, that's, I think, one of the biggest things that the releasing the anger has helped me do. Like, okay, it's not about me. This is not about me. So definitely has helped me.
Yo, that gives me goosebumps like over here because like once you stop taking once you stop like what is it, ownership or responsibility for someone else's actions, that frees you up. That frees
Oh
up
yeah.
so much energy and so much space for you to give love to someone, compassion, empathy. That helps you show up as even more of a blessing for someone. So yeah, like it's just great that you're not taking that personal responsibility for other people's actions, and you can show up even more out of a place of high vibrations, high energy. And like you said, you're being intentional about how you show up. On the other side of what you said as well is so beautiful, how you can have these conversations with the people that you love. Like, yo, how cool is it to be able to be honest and to be transparent and to be vulnerable with the people that appreciate you so much, and to say like, hey, this is how I feel about something. Let's set this new standard. Let's set these new expectations. And also I'm setting a new boundary for myself, so we can both have this nice flow of energy so that love can totally be connected more and be transferred more and on a deeper level.
Yeah, most definitely. And I think that's kind of what was hard to convey to people, were like they felt like being vulnerable, which I understand. It just comes from a place of like, protection. They just didn't want me to put myself out there for that reason. And they're like, just why are you saying these things? I'm like, because it needs to be said. Maybe I just did it a different way, but I'm okay with being vulnerable and people hearing my story. And that has allowed a lot of other people to reach out and maybe have these conversations for the first time. And then it just came back to what we were talking about, is me being helpful. Right. So I was like, oh my God, this is full circle. So I was like, oh God. I was like, wow. So evaluating everything. I was like, wow, it was pretty insane, but it was for the good. It was for something good, and being able to have those conversations and recognizing that we all do that, like try to take ownership of things. We take things so personal.
Yeah.
There's a few people that kind of they were like offensive they were offended by my video. And it was like extended family too. Like, why are you saying your business? You don't be saying that. You don't need to say that. Like you basically, like how I put myself out there is how I should keep it, and not put this stuff that makes me look weak. And it was just very, very interesting to me that, people don't want to hear that side about me. They just want to know that I was this visually impaired blind person that's doing all these things and doesn't have any bad days. Kind of. It was kind of weird, but also it's like, okay. And it made me understand where they're coming from. Like just trying to understand where they're coming from, where that notion was from. And it was very interesting. And I thought about it for weeks. And just like, it was just what? And I still don't completely understand it, but it was a good perspective, right? To kind of like think about it and try to understand, I guess.
100%. Like, when there's an expectation of you keeping your shit together and for you portraying everything as if though it's just peachy keen, then if you don't portray anything like that, if you tell a different story, or if you show your true emotions, like you said, it shows that you're weak. And that brings on, right, quote unquote, weak. When I mean, honestly, to get past your own emotions, to be able to tell your story and to show up authentically is one of the strongest things you could ever do.
I agree.
You know what I mean? Which is why I honor you so much. And it's real talk. And also, when people do that, it also brings up a feeling of shame as well. And with that shame, people would rather do anything to feel rejected or judged. Like, there's such a fear of rejection. There's such a fear of judgment, within the communities and also out there within social media as well. So like, people will do all types of flossing, or people will do all type of flogging and telling all types of fairy tales and stories about their own story, just to not seem vulnerable or weak. Just to make sure that they show the highlights of their life. Yeah, 100%. 100%. Like, oh yeah, I'm good. When in reality, some people are falling apart on the inside and just can't go out there and ask for any help because of that shame factor.
Exactly.
Yo,
It's so interesting because I just listened to a podcast about shame and guilt and the difference behind it. And it was just crazy. And it's so true. Like, we live in a world where we're just so scared to be shamed, and the rejection and all that. It's really crazy.
I think it comes from religion. You know what I mean? Back when, you had to be this good Christian person and you had to live godly. And I mean, to have that type of culture. And also, trolls are out there as well. There's a lot of trolls out there that will take advantage of your moment of transparency and clarity and you showing up in your honest way. People will take advantage of that. And oh my gosh.
Yeah, I completely agree. And it comes from a place, I think, of power. That's why these things were put in place, like religion. I don't want to get too controversial, but also just race, how people being superior to others, and just a form of power to control people, and it puts other people against each other. So back in the day, they used to, tell on their fellow Christians if they were not abiding by the 10 Commandments, or just race. They're made to make people feel superior, and inferior. So it just comes from a lot of different terrible things.
It's freaking deep. It's really deep.
Yeah.
To see the individual and to think about what their trauma may be, or to think about their consciousness and where they're coming from with their behavior. That's the most important thing to do. So that's why, I had to take my mom off a pedestal. I started to do more and more of this work and get rid of the negative emotions and limiting beliefs that I have. But my mom wasn't at the time. She's starting to do so now. Shout out to my mom. I love her. And she used to react from this little girl that was raised by gangsters. You know what I mean? She used to react to this little girl that was a brat. You know what I mean? Your words, Mom, not mine. So I saw that, and I looked through the perspective of her trauma. I looked through the perspective of her baggage, and I said, oh, okay. You know what I mean? She's only doing the best that she can with the resources and consciousness that she has. So therefore, it makes total sense why she does the things that she does. It makes total sense why I trigger her the way that I trigger her sometimes. It makes total sense. So to go against the mindset or the consciousness of the people that you interact with, or your family who holds you so closely, and for for their perspective, you may also be a representative of them, the Magallanes family. You know what I mean? It's that's like, whoa, wait a second, you're breaking the mold here. This is what we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
And you're screwing that shit up. Chill.
What are you doing? This was not in the Magallanes Council. We didn't talk about this. We didn't discuss this. This was not approved. It kind of felt like that. Yeah. But I understand, just from that whole shame and guilt and everything just mixed in there, and I understand.
Yeah.
So completely understand.
That's also the potential, if not the total truth, of you breaking generational curses as well.
Yes, no, definitely. Because just after my podcast, it did make people feel some type of way. And I completely understand, but it allowed us to have really deep conversations, things that I haven't had conversations with, say, my parents or cousins or friends. Just having these, but mainly my family. I was just like, wow. And I had no idea, and how could I? But then I'm like, okay, that makes sense. Oh, okay, that makes sense. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So. Oh
my gosh. So a lot of epiphanies. How has your relationship changed with your kids?
It has been actually very transforming. It has been, I catch myself sometimes trying to be a little too perfect, which again, we talked about this last time. It's insanity. So insane anyway. So, but I do notice I do want to be more intentional with my time with them. I do spend like less time on social media because I used to just, I don't know, it's just the things I was doing, right? And it just made me realize that I need to spend more quality time with them. I need to be more intentional with my words. I need to be more present, if that makes sense. So it's definitely changed a lot. And just, it's been really amazing, actually. Like just this little things, I can't think of them all, but I know just day-to-day life, it does seem different, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Like you said, you're coming with a different energy, and I'm sure that they can feel that as well. It's like, wow, something's different about mom.
Yeah, like, who is she? Who's that lady? Yeah, no, but it's really a real blessing, definitely. And just also my interactions with my parents, kind of understanding them more so as people. Like, I feel like I took them off a pedestal because I understand they're people, but just understanding them deeper, just because I released things that were blocking me and just being able to understand them more. So it's been really, really, really amazing.
That is so beautiful, yo. I am so freaking proud of you. So freaking proud of you, yo. And you. How is your adventure going with you becoming an attorney as well?
So I'm doing that. And also along the way, I was just found just a different avenue of things. So I was like looking into all this stuff about law school and researching, because I'm one of those people, I just love to research everything. And so I looked into grant writing, so writing grants.
Yeah.
And so for like nonprofits and stuff like that. And I was like, this is exactly where I want to go. Say if I become an attorney, writing grants for nonprofits or doing the legal work for that type of stuff. So I was like, it's been really cool just to find a different kind of scope of work through that. So just with my research, it's been really cool.
That is so awesome. I mean, good for you for within the journey finding something that you're passionate about and something that's going to make a bigger difference in the long run to helping with those different organizations.
No, definitely.
Yo, I'm so proud of you. I am so like you can't imagine. Like I've been waiting for this moment to speak to you again for so long. So just congratulations. Keep up the good work and keep growing. Yo, I know you're going to, but yo, I just want to wish you so many prayers and so much good vibrations and so much.
And thank you so much for the opportunity, because it has been life-changing, literally. And I was looking back on my reaction and I'm like, I still feel that way. I still feel that way. Like, what? How did this happen? In like the 5 minutes, I still think that way, right? And being able to because I know we had an appointment in November and postponed it till now, but I feel like there's just been so much that's happened that it's good that we waited till now, so I could tell you about it's been crazy. And it's just been just a completely different energy, especially with the new year, and just it's just really, I can't even express how changed I feel, if that makes sense.
Hell yeah, it definitely makes sense. That's the best part about the whole modality of mental and emotional release is the immediate and effective change that you have within your mindset and therefore within your life. Shout out to Joe Dispenza. Once you change your personal reality, of the past, then you change your personality. You show up differently, and look what you've shown up in a totally different way than
that is crazy. What you just said, wow. What you just said, hold up. It's true.
Yeah.
You just explained it so well with what you just said. It's so true, because when people were asking they felt like my reaction, did you really feel that way? I'm like, yes. I did. It's I did, and I continue, because the work's going to continue. It isn't you have to continue to do the work. But that helped me just get past that block. You can only do so much. And then once you release this, you feel more open and free. Like you just said, you change your reality, and you change your personality. So that's seriously, I'm like, what? You just explained it so good.
Well, like I said, shout out to Dr. Joe Dispenza. He's the man who said that. But it's once you experience the transformation that you experienced on the show, you see it so vividly. You know what I mean? Like you know, you've seen how you changed the perspective of all these events from the past. So you change the reality of those events to where it doesn't have that anger behind it. And now you don't have you come to, like, we who do this come to life with so much more compassion, with so much more love, with so much more empathy, with so much more acceptance of people are and what situations are. And therefore we can come to things with a rational mind. We can come to things with like boundaries to make sure that we show up with the authenticity that we need to, so we can be our true authentic, or we can be our true selves, and we can show up in alignment with the infinite intelligence. So we can show up in alignment with exactly the vibrations that the universe has for us. You know, like it's
most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes. So true.
Yo, it's such a phenomenal thing, and to have a reaction podcast, if you will, so people can go through this and act like the listeners and the viewers can actually experience someone doing years of therapy and years of personal development and have multiple breakthroughs within minutes, is what it's all about. So then they can therefore take the next step and do it for themselves.
No, definitely. And that's what's so mind-blowing about it, because you can read and do all this stuff. And that's what was my reaction, because I was just like, what? Like, it just happened. And then I just felt so, like I said, I felt so, like I said, I said I felt like I had a massage or something. Like, I felt so different. And it was just because my mind shifted, and just changing that I guess burden, I could say, of having that anger with all those situations. It was just insane. Just a little shift like that just changed everything.
Mm-hmm. In fact, that was the biggest perspective change, was you had this perception that you were a burden, and now you see how much of a blessing you are to folks as well. I mean, goodness gracious, the way that people have reached out and the way people that love you and the way that you're showing up as a parent, you're nothing but a blessing, yo.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate this podcast, the work that you do, and also just listening to other people's stories, because there's some amazing people that you have been able to interview and have this with. So it's just being able to have that out there on YouTube is amazing.
Well, thank
you.
Thank you, girl. You the shit. And thank all you guys out there for tuning in. I love you all so much for your attention and your support. And if you are here right now, please consider hitting the like and subscribe button. And if you're on a podcast platform, give a brother 5 stars and some feedback as well. Right here on the Drop Your Baggage podcast, where we talk to people that are dope, that can bring you hope and show you a technique that can help you cope. I'm your host, the self-talk engineer, Charles Woolfork, with my special, amazing guest, Marisa Magallanes. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care of yourself and take care of one another. Peace.